Welcome to the Encinitas Chamber Chat Live podcast. I'm Carol Knight with the Encinitas Chamber of Commerce. With the help from my talented friends at Max Deluxe, we will showcase the many aspects and unique qualities of the Encinitas community. Whether it be focusing on local business owners, advice from experts, or highlighting some of the local gems Encinitas has to offer, we hope you'll find this podcast informational and entertaining. As we close out 2024 and look to 2025, I know one of the items on my to-do list is to look at my finances, to do a little bit of a checkup, and I encourage you to do that as well. I want to see how I am faring to my goal of eventual retirement. I'm happy to have with me today Andrew Lippman with InWealth Management. Andrew is a certified financial planner along with many, many other accreditations. Welcome, happy to have you here.
Great to be here.
All right, so before we delve into the finances of everything, tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, I just moved out here 15 months ago from Long Island, as most people can tell from my accent.
I can tell you're not a West Coaster.
Right, I get that all the time. As soon as I start speaking, people ask me, where are you from? Brooklyn? But no, I'm from Queens. And then I moved out to Long Island, where I've lived, my entire life other than going away to college. And 15 months has just been pure heaven. It's the best decision I ever made about where I was ever going to live. All
right, so that's a big leap from the East Coast to the West Coast.
It is.
What did you do on the East Coast? Or in Long Island? Were you a financial planner?
Yes, I've been doing that for 37 years. So I didn't take that long trip across the country that lasted that long. But yeah, no, I brought most of my clients with me, and I still go back there 4 times a year, and I've been getting to know people I knew no one when I came out here, and I'm a member of 3 chambers, and I sit on a board of directors of a global children's charity, and I've immersed myself in this area, and every day is better than the last.
I love it. I did read your bio that you were in dress manufacturing?
Yes, I used to be in the garment center.
In the garment, right down, were you right in the city?
Absolutely, Manhattan and 7th Avenue. So that was another lifetime ago, and it was very interesting while I was there, but I had to get out of it. It was going overseas, and just the business was drying up. So I went to NYU at night while I was still working.
Had a pivot, as they say.
Pivot beyond pivot. And it was great. I just got excited about it. I got licensed, I got certified, and I just started going to school. I'm still in school. I constantly take courses and things like that. And you have to keep learning because things happen all the time, new laws, new products, everything.
Right, especially in this industry, your industry. Yes. It's always changing, always fluxing, always flowing, whatever that may be.
Tax laws change, people change, people get older, they need different, advice. And it's just, when I started, my clientele was always 55 and above, and then I gravitated into that. They became my contemporaries. And so I learned for me, I learned for them, and it's a nice synergy.
All right, so let's get into that a little bit. So it's funny, I've talked to a few fans, and they think, I'm going to take some classes and be a certified financial planner, make a little bit of extra income.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, you know nothing about this. I don't know if I want to be taking financial advice from them, but you have 37 plus years of experience under your belt.
Correct, right.
So what makes you stand out from all the other financial planners out there, or advisors out there?
Do we have that much time?
All the time you want, Andrew.
Well, but the way that it works is that I do things differently. I bring a lot of diverse concepts in because I have different training in different areas, so I'm able to deal with people differently depending on their specific circumstances. And I also use advanced technology that just helps me get to the heart of the matter with people. I can really delve into their psyche or what they need, and sometimes they don't even know what they need, and yet some of these programs actually bring it out. So it becomes a learning experience for both of us, and sometimes it's eye-opening, and sometimes it really scares the bejesus out of these people. But again, this is what I'm here to do. I'm here to eliminate risks and be able to help them, propel them into the future so they don't run out of money.
All right, so 2 points you brought up. You do something called a financial MRI?
That's a word that I use, but it's been trademarked by somebody else. So
okay.
I don't really use it all the time.
All right, so walk me through that a little bit. Let's say I wanted to do that. Is that just taking a look at where I'm at currently,
yes,
where I want to be?
Sure, but so what I do with all this advanced fintech is that it talks about health span and wealth span, these two new phrases that they've come up with. And what it allows me to do, again, with a sophisticated risk profile, and I use behavioral finance, which will tell me what your natural biases are and how you make decisions, and also what your income desires are, and all these other things. So it gives me sort of a ball. And then, like with a real MRI, they look at it, they slice and dice, and you come from this way and that way, and that's in essence what I'm able to do.
So it really gives you that clear picture, full picture.
A three-dimensional, 360-degree kind of perspective. And again, it's something that a lot of times nobody has seen these things before. And it creates dialogue. And through dialogue, I get to know the people better. And then I can design something that's just specifically tailor-made for them, which a lot of times, a lot of people just, model portfolios, shove them in. And I'm not even just talking about their investments. I'm talking about their overall financial well-being. Because you can have the greatest investment plan, but there's so many other risks involved that if you don't address them or try to eliminate, you can't eliminate them all, but try to, lower them or mitigate them as much as possible. Because even the greatest investment plan is going to get, killed in a bad situation.
Right, and you bring up a good point about sort of that emotion that comes into to this, right? And maybe even competing emotion and goals if you're meeting with a couple, let's say.
And that's what's always interesting is that when I give them the behavioral finance quiz, you see how it overlaps or it doesn't overlap, or sometimes they're diametrically opposed. In which case, I might recommend a divorce attorney
or a marriage counselor, one of the two.
True. Well, but I think those two work together because eventually you end up in the marriage counseling. From my experience, never works. So I have a bias.
Yeah, it was interesting when I met my now husband. I didn't have a lot of money, and I'm a coupon cutter, and I still am. I really am trying to find the best deal, and he was spending much more than I was. So now he's more cognizant of the spending, and maybe we'll use a coupon or something. And unfortunately, I'm probably spending a little bit more, but we've come to some sort of agreement about at least the day-to-day money.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway.
But again, that's one of those things that is important because when you think about the future, and whenever somebody is in pre-retirement, especially, I hate to sound sexist or anything like that, but I usually say, especially the man, because women have a tendency to be able to have more community and have like book clubs or things like that. So they've already established what they're going to do in retirement. But men, they think they can play golf, 40 days in a row. It really doesn't happen. Right. But the idea is that I always say, unless you have a compelling vision of the future, don't retire. And that's in my situation. I came out here. I'm having a great time every day. I can't even imagine retire because every day I'm having fun.
Right.
And so I'm going to keep on going until it's not fun anymore.
Right. I like that mindset. My husband is in pre-retirement, and so I keep thinking, all right, so what are you going to do in retirement? Right. You're not a golfer.
Okay.
We do need to find a hobby. I still want to continue to work, or at least work part-time, and just sort of encouraging that path too, or whatever his second or third chapter might be.
Right. Well, that's why when I came out here, just in my case, I got involved with Kids for Peace, the global children's charity. I'm involved with New Village Arts Theater. Things like that. I mean, that's why I joined the chambers, and I'm on some committees at different chambers. So, I mean, that to me is what I plan on doing. Whether I'm generating revenue for myself or not, I'm gonna outreach, give back to the community in any way I can.
All right, and not that it's a direct line, maybe it's a dotted line, but I would think that some of that community involvement and giving back really then benefits the whole financial picture.
Absolutely. I mean, this is how I'm meeting people and trying to, bring this concept, to the people out here because, again, I didn't know anybody, so this is how I'm establishing, my presence.
So are you working with individuals and businesses and nonprofits?
Yes.
And so how do those
Well, they all have completely different focuses for me. Again, it's what I do, so it's easy for me to, to shift gears. But the answers are the same. I'll work with the employees of a business with their 401k plans, let's say, so that I'll talk to them about their risk profile, how they need to manage it based on their age and again, bringing into play some of these items that we've already discussed so that they can understand what they're doing. Because in 37 years in the business, I've maybe seen 10 people who have invested their 401k plan correctly for their needs. Mm-hmm. So fixing that is really key. It's key for them, and it's key for their bosses who otherwise would have some liability there because they haven't done it correctly.
Right. As an Encinitas Chamber of Commerce member, which you are, you've been to some of our networking groups,
Yes.
Coffee Connections and Chamber on Tap, et cetera. So you've met some of our small businesses.
Yes.
Those businesses very often are sort of living hand to mouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe have not looked at what retirement's going to look like. Certainly, probably not even what their employees' retirement.
Right.
Is there a playbook? Again, I know it's individual. I mean, are there certain basic things that they need to do from the get-go?
Well, if they don't have the funding to do it, it's kind of difficult. If they want to take care of themselves as the business owner, there are things to do for that. If they want to include their employees, there are other things to do for that. But again, if you don't have the excess capital, it's really not going to happen. But there are things that I'm coming across by being here that I didn't have access to before because the product availability in California is a little different than it was available in New York.
Such as?
Well, New York is very tight with their regulations, so there are better products, more robust, better interest rates, things like that, a larger flexibility in certain products that can benefit the employer, the employee, and things like that. So,
rounding out 2024, are there things a business or an individual should be looking at to make sure things are in order moving into 2025?
Yeah, well, right.
Are we too late in November?
No. So right about now, if you have a mutual fund portfolio or mutual funds of any kind, they start to release their capital gains projections. And because the market has gone up so high, a lot of these companies are going to declare, large dividends and capital gains. There's tax ramifications involved with that, and you can get hit with a large tax situation and without actually receiving the money. I mean, it goes into the fund, but it's not money that you've actually received, but yet you could get hit with taxes, or it can propel you into another tax bracket, which can affect numerous other things along the way. So by finding out what they are, you might have losses, you might have other things that you might want to sell before the end of the year to take advantage of that, or invest in things that spin off losses or have other tax advantages that would mitigate that exposure, because it can be quite large.
Right. All right, so now with the election behind us,
right,
and 2025 and a whole new administration, is there things that you are excited about, are worried about, without getting too much into the weeds on the politics of it all?
Basically, you're going to have less restrictions, so that sometimes works, for businesses to increase their bottom line because they're not using excess money to have to go in and take care of environmental issues or things like that. Mm-hmm. Things that, again, we're not discussing that. So that may benefit businesses in the short term. So no matter what anyone says, the economy is still strong. Mm-hmm. The markets are still going to go up. Right now, Wall Street is looking at, as the Trump administration as being a positive thing. It's also a positive thing for cryptocurrency. The restrictions are going to be off. They're going to, there's going to be a lot of regulations and things like that. They're going to, be pushed forward, and some of it's good. I mean, I'm a big crypto guy.
I know nothing about cryptocurrency at all.
Right, but the thing is that it's the future, and that's one of the reasons why I got involved with it a number of years ago. Because as an investment fiduciary, I need to know about these things. So if someone wants to talk about it or, wants to discuss it, I can't say I don't know it. And there are products out there now that are good for the mainstream, and it's up 40-50% since
all right,
in a month.
Give me the high level down low on.
As of right now, Bitcoin is up to $95,000. As I just got out of my car and checked it. So, I mean, it was 70,000 a month ago. So that's a lot of increase in a short time. It's very volatile. It's very speculative still. It's not for most people.
I was going to say it's not for the everyman.
It can be if used correctly. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you take 1% of your portfolio
Right.
and put it in Bitcoin, I mean, in 2023 it was up 160%. I mean, how would that 1% impact, your overall rate of return?
Have you had a lot of clients?
Most of my clients are over 70, so I wouldn't.
They're not going to play that game.
I wouldn't recommend it to them. Uh-huh. But like I said, I mean, I've been following it. I'm involved with a number of high-level groups that that talk about this all the time, and so I mean, I'm overly weighted in cryptocurrency, and I'm finally being rewarded for my pain and suffering and waiting it out.
Right.
So I'm happy about that.
All right. So I have a college-age son. Mm-hmm. He's going to graduate in May.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Starting out, just some basic financial advice that everyone should be. I mean, even if you're 22 or 40 and haven't really started saving,
right.
It's never too late.
Okay. Broad-based indexes, just so you have a little bit of everything. For him, I would look at low-cost things and invest in a Roth IRA going forward once he starts working. This way it grows for 40 years before he has to draw on it. So you're going to do very well over time. And again, keep the costs low, have a good diversified portfolio, simple stuff. It could be $20 a week. It works. And and dollar cost averaging, as it's called, is actually another risk reduction technique because you're buying low and selling high, or you're buying more shares as it moves. So it removes the volatility, and then over time, it's just sort of a straight line as it goes up, and it has gone up, and we're assuming that this is still gonna go that way.
Right. And then on the nonprofit side, you work with a lot of nonprofits.
I'm in that area now.
Okay.
So I'm working there.
And so that has their own set of challenges.
Yes, and I'm learning them all every day. I've been going to lectures and seminars and things like that to, really find out about it so I can get into the weeds with them if I have to. I really need to know as much as I can of something before I really jump. I don't jump headfirst into anything. But I have certain products that are specific to nonprofits that they can avail themselves of and help them raise money, which is really what nonprofits want.
Right. That would be good. The chamber should talk to you. I
think I can squeeze you in.
All right, and then let's talk about this nonprofit that you're on the board of.
Yes.
And what do they do?
Kids for Peace. They have an initiative where they're just trying to spread, teach kids about peace and how to be, friendly to each other and kindness. And it's just sort of in a world where we need more kindness. And that's, if you're familiar with the sign on the 5.
Going right in Carlsbad.
It's right on the edge, right by the flower fields or the pumpkin patch. There's that big sign that says Kindness Matters. Well, I'm wearing my Kindness Matter.
And so they sponsored that sign?
Well, that's them. I mean, they had their party back in January, February, where all the local schools made a different letter, and then they put it up on the sign. And we just had a ribbon cutting there last week, as a matter of fact, for Kindness Day, which was Wednesday of last week.
Yeah,
that was exciting.
Well, you really have gotten yourself immersed quickly here in North County.
Exactly. I mean, I just keep trying to do more and more every day. So, again, there's so much to do here, and I don't even think I've scratched the surface.
Oh, you're probably not, especially because you're spending time in Oceanside, Carlsbad, Encinitas, all of North County. There's so many hidden gems.
And I've only been to San Diego proper 3 times since I've been here. And people say to me, have you been to San Diego? And I'm like, no, I don't have the time.
Right.
Yeah, so it's great. And I play tournament pickleball, too.
Oh, that's right. I heard you were an avid pickleballer.
Well, for somebody my size and my age, I can hold my own. And sometimes they're surprised, and sometimes they just want me to get off the court. So it's one or the other. But, I play in tournaments and all over. I mean, far enough away. I mean, I've been to Coronado Islands as far as I've gone to play south, And but yeah, I mean, I love it. I usually like benefit tournaments because you pay a little more to play, but it goes for a good cause. And again, because I'm trying to get involved in the nonprofit area, so I talk to them, and I get involved. I sponsor a lot of things.
And you're going to be exhibiting at our upcoming February Community Resource Expo?
That is correct.
You were the first one who signed up and paid?
I love those things. It's like I never thought I would, I never really thought I would do those, but I'm set up to do them now. I have the printing, I bought all the signage and all the stuff, and I'd be like,
and it really is a good way. I mean, you're going to for this particular event. It's 300 some North County residents are going to come through, and you have those one-on-one conversations with them, and maybe give me a little freebie here and there, and then get them on board.
And you know what? I buy the right candy to bring people to the booth.
That's my secret too.
So that helps too. But I find that you get approached by people who, sometimes they have good questions. Sometimes, they're really far out in left field. But again, that's all part of it. It's
right.
I make it enjoyable. And by making it enjoyable, I know I'm having a good time, and hopefully, and that's what they remember. Because when I work with people, I try to make it lighthearted, because we're dealing with a lot of times sensitive issues. And if we keep it light and we keep it fun and moving, then people naturally will open up. And I also like to take people out to lunch and talk to them the first one or two times, either over drinks or food, because again, it breaks relationship tension and it eases people into it. Because again, there's stuff that a lot of people don't want to talk about, and they need to, because if you don't, you're not protecting yourself. And in essence, that's really what it comes down to. Right. But yeah, I love these fairs.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done 4 since I'm here.
That's great. And I got to tell you, you're the model new resident. Because there were so many transients and a lot of folks who came down during COVID from the Bay Area and, the surrounding states. And they still don't quite get connected. But I always say you sort of get what you give, right? So the more you're getting involved, the more you're going to get at it, personally and professionally.
Sure. Well, as I tell people who say to me that you're always out, or people back home, you never did this when you were on Long Island. I said, first of all, the opportunities weren't there. So that was number one. And number two, it's just like I lived with my family, and so I don't have that anymore. And I didn't come out here to stay in my apartment, and because I know how much loneliness is a problem. I'm not lonely, and I'd never want to be lonely. And so I work on that with other people as well. So, you keep it moving, you keep going. I mean, I had 4 events this week. And I'm going out tonight. I have another one tomorrow.
And you have a podcast.
And I have a podcast. And again, it's constant, moving, and it's great. Right. I mean, again, you keep going, and, it's wonderful. I told you I was involved with the theater. So the new theater, their new play is opening up next Saturday, so I'm going to opening night. And again, I didn't think I would find good theater here, but between La Jolla and the one in Solana Beach.
North Coast Rep,
Thank you. Yeah. And so I have a couple of seats there, tickets there. I have quality entertainment that keeps me, going, and I become sort of a Padres fan too. So it all works out.
All right, you can stay a little longer.
Thanks. Well, until they play the Yankees, but that didn't happen this year. Maybe next year.
Well, you're definitely an example of what you should be doing.
Well, thank you.
If someone wants to learn a little bit more is interested in a little bit more about what you do, the time is right for them to start reassessing, assessing, planning, whatever it is. How do they reach you, Andrew?
Well, you can go to my website, which is InWealth.com. That doesn't really say much. I'm in the process of revamping it, but you can catch me on LinkedIn. Facebook, so I wouldn't look at my Facebook page per se, but on LinkedIn it's more professional. And I can be reached through the chamber. I'm in the membership page. I'm on that. And that's what I would say.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. I've learned a few things. I think I need to plan a few things, and it was a real pleasure.
Well, it was a pleasure being here. And, as they say, nobody ever gets tired of talking about themselves. So thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for having me.
Thanks. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks to our sponsor, Max Lux. Join us again for the next episode of Encinitas Chamber Chat Live. For more information on the Chamber and its activities, please visit encinitaschamber.com.